My name is Andy Hall. I am the lead writer on Total War Warhammer. Well, that's a very good question, but the fact is they are very exciting. And they play very differently to each other. The High Elves, for example, in a kind of a Total War first, can start meddling with other people's diplomacy. So they gain influence because they've got spies everywhere. They rather arrogantly assume that they are the guardians of the world, and that is true to an extent. So they've got these big trade links, which you, as a High Elf player, you reveal the shroud, so you can see stuff further because you dominate the seas effectively. And also you can influence other people's diplomacy. And influence you get through intrigue at court events, and then you can use that to hire the best generals. And also you say you've got Lizardmen being friends with Dark Elves for some crazy reason. You can use that influence to kind of sour that relationship, and you get like a little bit of fictional justification how you've done that in a very kind of House of Cards style plan. So they have all that. They also have a very unique battle type, the Fortress Gate battles, which are very different to normal battles. They're kind of a siege variant, and you know, just on the battlefield as well, they play quite defensively, but unlike the dwarfs, which are pretty much ultra defensive, they have this great counter-attack power, because they've got all these very unique elite troopers. They've got like the Phoenix Guard, which don't utter a single word. And we've made sure that happens in the game, because I know some of the lore guys, the big first thing they'll be looking to see whether any of the Phoenix Guard shout out. Yeah, you've got two different start positions for them as well. So you've got Teclis, who starts in Lustria, surrounded by enemies, and where you've got Tyrion, who kind of starts in the heart of Ulthuan, and he's got to, you know, not just fight his way to unify Ulthuan, he's got to kind of wield his political might as well. So you've got two very different styles there as well. And if I'm blathering, please tell me to move on. And then of course you've got the Dark Elves. So the Dark Elves, they've got some really cool toys. First of all, in battle they have Murderous Prowess, which means if they kill enough things, they just get into this massive kind of orgy-like state and just go nuts. And they can cut through Skaven clan rats like a hot knife through butter. And also they have, let's not forget, Black Arks, which is a very distinct thing in the IP. Basically mobile settlements they have, so you can really kind of build these settlements up with their own unique building chains, and if they are kind of near a Dark Elf battle, they can throw in bombardments, which is kind of a concept, a feature we've done before in Shogun 2, and we're bringing that into Warhammer in a very kind of Warhammer way. So it's not just, it's obviously magically based. They throw souls into the battle. Yeah, you can send them, and then obviously then you offload them into different areas, and then they can start raiding and enslaving and start away. Well, that, you know, I've even got to mention, you know, they have slave mechanics as well. So if you really are quite a devious git, you can deal in slaves. Yeah, and again they've got two. They've got the Witch King and his mum, Marathi. And you know, we're trying to incorporate more narrative, and that's kind of where my part comes in. And I think actually the bit of an exclusive, the Dark Elves have got my favourite story going on. So there's like a third character that's kind of trying to play off Marathi against her son and stuff, and there's some cool stuff going on there. But I'm not going to say any more; I'll spoil it. Okay, yeah. So from the very beginning, I remember reading in the PowerPoint documents when we were pitching Warhammer, or when kind of the game director Ian was pitching Warhammer. I was freelancing at that point, but it was like one of the design pillars was narrative. We've got this rich history of Warhammer, 30 years of kind of cool IP, and we want to bring it in a kind of story sense. The caveat to that is we can't put the player on rails or interfere with that kind of sandbox open gameplay that Total War's famous for. So what kind of this new campaign allows us to do is, you know, it's totally up to you how you accrue the ritual currency, which for the Skaven is obviously Warpstone. For Dark Elves, it's these scrolls of Akati, the kind of their magic god. So how you actually accrue that stuff is up to you. You can do the narrative missions, which feed directly into the movies, or you can take ritual settlements, or you can, you know, fight battles that have ritual deposits. Yeah. So once you've done that, you at some point you have to start performing the rituals because it's a race, and that's where we can then deliver some story for you, for players that are interested. You engage with it as much as you want. And also, because we're putting the campaign in that kind of arc environment, it means there's plot tension. So one of the bits of feedback, probably actually one of those criticisms enduring for Total War, is that once you reach a certain power level, once you are the top dog, you lose a bit of the challenge as you start to paint the map. No one can touch you. This way, even if you have the largest empire, if you're on Ritual 2 and, I don't know, the Dark Elves are on Ritual 4, you're losing that race. So you need to kind of enact, you need to cast more rituals, or, you know, just take the Dark Elves out of the race altogether by hobbling them. And that leads us to a point where we can have a really cool end game as well, a proper climax to a campaign. So, should I spoil this? No, I won't. But, you know... You know, even when you cast your 5th ritual, it's not over yet. There's going to be this ultra mega cool battle, and, you know, there might be certain reveals there that hopefully will blindside some players. It's kind of like an end of game boss fight. It's basically going to be the biggest Total War battle ever, and you've got to, yeah, so far. And you've got to participate in that. And if you've cast the 5th ritual, it's you they're coming to stop. If another race is casting the 5th ritual, you've got to go and stop them. Because if they then win that game, it's game over. And this is the first Total War campaign where you have a game over screen. So literally you can lose this battle campaign, even if you've got the biggest empire. So that hopefully, sorry this is long and rambly, hopefully that gives you that sense of tension all the way through. And certainly our kind of veterans and some of our kind of other people we've asked to play the game, they're saying they actually don't want to go back to the normal Total War because they've been so engaged with this kind of game that gives you a great start, a great middle, and hopefully a great end as well. Yeah, we want to keep you under pressure, and I mean, I've seen people play it where they just kind of stockpile all the ritual currency and then right at the end try and do all the rituals at once. But the way the ritual mechanic works is, the theory being that when you cast a ritual, the vortex weakens. And as the vortex weakens, chaos forces slip through. So when you cast a ritual, you've got 10 turns of basically hell. You've got chaos, high-end, high-stack chaos armies coming for your settlements. And you've got to fight them. So when you actually press that ritual button, is a tactical decision as well. You've got to be ready for them. And also, if you go, oh, I'm going to do the last 3 rituals right at the end, that's 30 turns of hell you're going through. And obviously, it escalates as well. So when you play those rituals, you know, this is all a kind of a tactical decision. But, you know, if the Dark Elves or the Skaven are like at ritual 5, you've got to hurry up. Or try and take them out in a more traditional way. I can't tell you too much about it because I haven't really played the Dark Elves too much. I keep meaning to, but I just keep carrying on with my Creek campaign. But I will tell you a cool mechanic the Dark Elves have. So kind of like in the army book, the way Dark Elves name themselves. It's not hereditary. That's why they've got all these cool names like Soul Stealer and Knife Stabber. And so what you can do is you can name your Dark Elves, and you can give it like a noble name, a warrior name, or a sage name, I think. Anyway, and you then have to perform. You've got to live up to that expectation of the name. And if you do, you get these big buffs as well. So that's gone down really well, because that is kind of like, it's a great example of kind of having that nice little IP lore nugget and actually turning that into a mechanic. So as well as these kind of headline mechanics that we have, that we've been talking a lot in these interviews, there's lots of these little extra kind of little features that kind of really kind of dive down and make the async design quite unique. Loyalty for the Skaven, and actually the Dark Elves have the same loyalty problems as well. It's another great little lever that you have to pull as well, and there's traits as well, and different levels of traits. Oh, I could go on forever. Sorry if I'm rambling. It is, and you do that by dominating them. So yeah, you can. They're not very good in diplomacy, that's obvious. But you know, this is a sandbox game, so if you work hard enough at it, you can. But with the loyalty mechanic is quite interesting, because you know, you can have this kind of cool grey seer stack for yourself with some Hellpit abominations in, and you've fleshed out this grey seer to have the whole spell lore and stuff like that. But if you don't keep him on side, or keep him kind of sweet, he will rebel. He'll get his own ambitions. He'll rebel against you and form a whole new faction that you will then have to fight. And then you lose everything in that army stack as well. So yeah, you have to give him gifts and stuff, or you know, just make sure you're close to him and winning the battles, because then he kind of cowers because you can see you're more mightier than him. And that's a great little characterful way of keeping the Skaven in check.